Morning, everybody, or I should say good afternoon, and thank you for attending the Plum Computer Consulting monthly webinar series, today featuring customer pricing in Sage. My name is Kelly Bergman, and I'd like to quickly just address a few housekeeping items before I hand the floor off to our presenter. All attendees are in listen-only mode. As we go along, please type your questions into either the Q&A or the chat section. I'll be monitoring both, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. This is being recorded and will be posted on our website within the next day or two. So with that done, it is now my pleasure to introduce Jessie Braun, Sales and Consulting Specialist with Plum. You may all remember Jessie from her webinar on Sage Basics. That's always a great one for us. And earlier this year, you may have even had the pleasure to deal with her on a technical support issue or an implementation. Either way, Plum is very lucky to have her as part of the family. And before I go on and on forever, now that we're all acquainted, I'll hand the floor off to Jessie.
Thanks so much, Kelly. As she mentioned, I'm Jessie with Bloom Computer Consulting, and today we're going to talk about customer pricing in Sage 100. I thought this would be a good topic because there are just so many different ways to manage your pricing, and it can get confusing pretty quickly. So I want to lay it all out there, go through the different hierarchies, and give you guys a good feeling for how we would do customer pricing in Sage. So on our agenda today, we're going to cover why you would want to use Sage for your pricing, different types of price methods and how the quantity breaks work, what the pricing hierarchy is through the system, as well as how you can use promotions, pricing by customer or group, and price codes to set up your price structure in Sage. Let's get started. First of all, why Sage 100 for your pricing? There's a ton of reasons, but here are a few that I kind of thought of, or I've heard from clients about how it's improved things for them or helped them put a little bit of structure behind things. So there's less data entry and manual management. Once you get the pricing in there, every time you enter a sales order or an invoice, it automatically puts in that pricing for you. You don't have any complicated price sheets to maintain and distribute to your sales representatives or your customer service people when they are entering an order. You can base your pricing on your cost or on your standard price, so you can set up these levels for your customer groups that are going to shift as you change your standard cost or your standard price. We'll talk about how to do that in a little bit. It allows you to group your items together for a discount or a markup, so you can say, I have this whole group of items and I want it to give a quantity discount based on that group. We can do that here. And one of the big things I think is that it can really help you drive structure to your pricing models. One of the comments I hear from people who are, trying to figure out how to get their pricing in Sage is that, the owners of the company or their sales reps go out and offer this pricing to their customers and don't really have a model to go off of. They just kind of offer pricing. And then you end up having a whole bunch of one-off setups for each customer when really you could kind of get everybody into the same bucket and create that structure. So that's why I really like Sage pricing. It allows us to create a method for doing your pricing. Like many things in Sage, there are several places to get to your pricing to make changes. We can go into our customer. We would click the items button in our customer, pull up a specific item, and then click on pricing. That's a bit of a dig down. It takes a little bit of clicking through to get to where you can see the pricing. So my preferred method is actually to go in through item maintenance. If we're in a particular item for item maintenance and we click pricing, it will show us all of the different price levels and different pricing methods that are available on that item or that are already set up on that item. We can also go in through price code maintenance. Price codes, you'll see this in a little bit. Price codes are assigned to an item, and then from that price code, it sets up the structure of the pricing. So again, lots of different places that you can go into review and change your pricing. Before we get into the pricing hierarchy, I want to talk a little bit about the different methods of pricing within Sage. So all of the different things that I'm going to show you about what the levels we can create, they're all based off of these pricing methods. So first, we have a cost markup. The cost markup is an amount or a percent increase off of your standard cost. And I'm going to say that again, it's off the standard cost. This is kind of a big deal because a lot of people don't use standard cost as their costing method. So your standard cost might not be as up to date. On the next slide, I'm going to show you how we can use our last cost or our average cost to update our standard cost on a regular basis and be able to use this cost markup. A second method that we can use is our price discount. We can have an amount or a percent decrease off of our standard price based on this discount. And then our final option is just a straight price override. We're saying this item at this level is this price. It's a flat price. One kind of interesting thing to note here is that we can use negatives to create an increase of the standard price instead of a decrease. So if we wanted to do a price discount that would actually increase off the standard price, it's basically a price negative discount amount. So we're reversing it and it's an increase. I did this with a client many years ago and it actually worked really well. They had a client, they wanted to sort of mark up to more of a retail price when the majority of their customers were wholesale. So their standard price was a wholesale price and they wanted to create a level that allowed them to increase that price instead of discount it. So as I talked about on the last slide, we can use our cost markup and use other cost methods to allow us to follow that cost. So if you're marking up based on your cost, we can use a utility here called the automatic cost and price change to update our standard cost, which is what's used as the base for our pricing, to match our last or average cost. Okay. Keep in mind that when you do this, it is a fluctuating cost, right? Your last and average cost definitely fluctuate. So your price is going to fluctuate as well. You want to make sure that that is something that works for your pricing model and works for your customers, right? If you have a customer who is expecting a set price for a certain period of time, this might not be the way that you want to set, things up for them. Okay. Again, you want to make sure that you run this periodically so your standard cost is up to date with your last and your average cost. And then also a note, be careful because you can change your cost here, but you can also change your price. And by default, it's going to come up with one of the options to change your price. We don't want to do that. Make sure that you change this to no change in price so it doesn't affect that. And the last bit that I want to get into before we talk about the hierarchy are our quantity breaks. So within each of the different ways of doing our pricing, we have the ability to have quantity breaks by tier for your items. So we have up to 5 tiers of these pricing breaks. We can use any of our pricing methods for it. So in this example, you can see I've given ourselves a price discount based on the total quantity of this one item that a person purchases. So this example, I'll go through it. We've got a standard price level. So this is for everyone. On this particular item, if they order from 1 to 4, they get a 0% discount. So our price is $84 per unit, which also matches our standard price. If they order from 5 to 9, they get a 3% discount. And one thing that's really nice is it does sort of show you the results over here to the right. So we can see that it's done the calculation. If they order from 5 to 9 units of this item, we get a 3% discount and the unit price will be $81.48. So again, we'll see this all throughout the system. And as we get into the hierarchy here, you'll see how we can use this as a layer of your pricing. So let's talk about the pricing hierarchy. We have many, many different ways to do this pricing within Sage. And so it's going to start at the top and say, do I have this thing? If not, check for this thing. Do I have that? If not, check for this. Goes all the way through until we get to the final, which is our standard price in item maintenance. So let's go through these. The first level of the pricing hierarchy are promotions that are within the current date. And that's something to note. You can have a start and an end date on your promotions. If the promotion doesn't fall within those dates, it won't be applied. And something interesting to note is if a promotion price is more expensive than the customer's pricing otherwise, it gets skipped, it doesn't get used. This is a really nice feature for people who want to make sure we don't overcharge a customer who's actually getting a better deal than the promotion offers, okay? The next level is the customer price schedule. The customer price schedule is one customer, one item, one price. Very specific, sort of like contract pricing, you can kind of think of it. Only one customer, only one price, and that's the price, okay? We do also have item pricing by customer price level. That's the next level down. So it'll say customer has a price level. This is the item price by that price level. The next level under that, item pricing by customer based on our price code. And again, I'm going to go over all of these in detail on individual slides, so it'll explain a little more. But we've got a price code applied to the item. And we've got a customer who has a price level. And in the item, we've got all of that set up to say, this is the price, okay? The next level down from that, we have item pricing that's based on your standard price code. So we've got a price code where we say, maybe we've got some quantity breaks on this item, and that price code, which is assigned to the item, says, for standard price, this is what we're going to get. And then again, we end with that standard price in item maintenance. So the end level, if all else fails, the system will use the standard price. One thing I did want to note here, because this comes up often enough, retail price in item maintenance is for reference only. It's not intended to be used in the system as any kind of calculation. You just have it there for reference. So let's go into detail on each of the different pricing levels through the hierarchy. Okay. First up, we've got promotions. You can see over here in sales promotion maintenance, we've got the name of a sales promotion. It's got a starting and an ending date. You can leave the ending date blank to have this go on, forever. My guess is for sales promotions, most people don't want this to go on forever. You want to have a promotion and have it end. You want to enter the sale method. Now, in this situation, we don't have as many of the options as we have for other things. We don't have our cost markup amount or percent, and we don't have an override. Or we do have an override, I'm sorry. We either can discount by percent or we have a straight sale price. This is the price, or I'm going to discount it by 10%, 25%. Okay. Once we've set up our sales promotion, we need to click our apply button to apply it to everything or a specific product line, price code, or range of items. So when we click apply, this screen comes up here and we can select what items, what groups of items we want this to apply for, okay? Another note, again, it's only applied if this is a better deal than the customer's regular pricing. So it'll look through that hierarchy, say, okay, is there a promotion? Yes. Is the customer's regular price better than that promotion? Yes, use the customer's regular price. Okay. The next level on our list is our customer specific pricing by item. So to get to this, we're going to go into an item. We're going to go to the pricing button within the item. You can see we've selected the pricing option of our customer price schedule, meaning that one item, one customer, one price. Very specific pricing. So we've selected our customer. We've selected our pricing method, which is a discount. This customer gets a $100 discount off of the standard price, which gives us our unit price. And you can again see it does that calculation for us. This would be used when you have individual customers who have item-specific pricing. It's just for them. Somebody sold it to them, gave them this big, deal or whatever, and you have to set it up as this override, right? So pretty specific. But the next level gives us the ability to really group our customers together. This is going to be item pricing by price level. So again, you can see we've pulled up this item. We've said for this one specific item at price level A, I'm going to give a pricing method of a discount of 10%. The price level is assigned to the customer, but we still have the same price methods and breaks as we have on other things that we've talked about here. This is where I love to have that structure, right? We can say, I'm going to have price level A and price level B, C, D, all the way down the line. It's only a one character field. So we have letters, numbers, or other characters that we can use for these levels. But we can say price level A is assigned to this group of customers. And for these items, this is the price. Okay. This is really great, again, for grouping everything together. But the one thing I did want to note about these price levels is there's no table where this is managed. When you put in price level A here, there's no corresponding thing that says, well, price level A to me means my wholesale minus 5% discount pricing. So this is something that Sage does not have, that a lot of people ask for, that I just want to bring up and mention. You have to kind of maintain that yourselves of what does price level A mean when we want to assign that to our customers. Okay. The next level down that we have, you can tell that we're going from very specific to more general. We can have price codes by our price level. So price code maintenance, we pull that up. This is where we create that structure. You can see here that in price code maintenance, we've got this price code, which has a price level, which has a whole level of discounts, right? So then if we look at our item, we can see the item has a price code assigned to it, and the customer has a price level assigned to it. So in the hierarchy, it's saying, okay, I've got a customer with price level A, and they're ordering this item, which has a price code of standard. And so I'm going to come out to the price code maintenance and see, oh, price level A, price code standard. This is going to be the structure used for their pricing. It's a cost markup. Maybe they get a better deal on the cost markup than just regular customers. Okay, so I think this is probably one of the more complicated ones to explain. Price code assigned to an item, price code associated with a price level assigned to the customer. Okay. We can also have price codes for a standard price. Okay, so we have our price levels A, B, C, all of those for the special customers. But then just for our regular customers, maybe we've got just regular wholesale customers, and we want them to be able to get these quantity breaks on this item or on a group of items, right? So this is not for just this one specific item code, but for every item where the price code standard is set up. So if they order more than 4, sorry, I'm clicking on things like I'm actually in the system. If they order more than 4 of one item, one singular item that has the standard price code, it's going to give them a less markup. It's going to give them a better quantity break discount. Okay. You can see here when we don't put in a price level, it actually marks it as standard. So it is calling out for us. This is going to be for all of our standard price levels, basically anybody who does not have a price level in the system. And then finally, we have pricing for groups of items. So this is a newer feature, newer, not super new, but newer, that allows us to do quantity breaks for groups of items. This might be helpful for some people, but it's a pretty broad stroke here. So, consider if this is something that will work. It's set up in sales order options, and it allows us to group our items together by our product line or by any of the 4 item categories that we set up in item maintenance. We can give a quantity break based on those groups instead of just by the item. So we would say for everything in product line ABC, if they order from, if they order 5 of item A, item B, item C that are all under ABC, they get a quantity break. We can't really narrow this down to specific price levels or specific customers. It's just sort of across the board. So this is why it's hard for some folks, and I'm not sure, will it work for everybody? The quantity breaks get based on the item price hierarchy setup. So all the different levels that we covered before, it's all based on that. The one thing that they did, this is again a little bit newer, they added the ability to have us prompt for that item pricing. So we can say, yeah, always apply this pricing. I don't want you to prompt me. Or we can say, no, prompt me. You'll get a pop-up that says something like, this order qualifies for item break pricing. Would you like to apply it? Click yes, you go ahead, and it takes care of it for you. If you do want to use this feature, I would recommend playing around with it a little bit in a test company to make sure it's going to do exactly what you want it to do. Again, because it's sort of a broad stroke, it's a bit outside of this hierarchy. It's saying, well, follow the hierarchy, but also do this thing to group everything together based on our product line, our item categories, etc. So that kind of covers all the different types of pricing, but there was one other thing I wanted to mention. It's a question I get a lot from folks. Why doesn't my pricing show up when I enter an order? So you've set up all this pricing, you're in sales order entry, you're entering your order, and you put in your item code for your customer. And hey, the price is still showing the standard price. It's not showing my complicated pricing that I spent all this time calculating. Well, the answer to that is you need to enter a quantity first. Because Sage has that option to use quantity breaks, the calculation, that the time when Sage goes through its logic to say, if this, then this, then this, is after you enter the quantity and tab off of the quantity field. That's, it'll look through those breaks, and that's why it needs to have the quantity before you can move forward. So, yeah, I think that is pretty much it. There's a lot to go on here with pricing. So I wanted to leave a little bit of time for questions. See if anybody had anything.
We have no open questions at the moment, Jessie.
Great.
Looks like you did a great job explaining all the options.
I guess the one thing I will say is if you would like to discuss with us how your pricing structure works and have us help you find the right combination of things to fit and create that pricing in Sage, contact us. We're more than happy to help. This is what we do. And I've done this many times over the years, set up some pretty complicated ones. So more than happy to chat with you about your specific situation.
Excellent. All right. So if there's no other questions, I'd like to quickly thank Jessie for her time today and her expertise in this matter. What a great way to spend the last half hour. And Brackusbaum Computer Consulting would like to thank the attendees for taking the time out of their day to join us. We know your time is valuable. And in closing, as Jesse said, reach out to either your trusted consultant, me, Jesse personally, whatever you want, we're here to help. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.